He was a fish-type spirit beast, abandoned by the entire sect. But the moment I saw him, I decided to make him my familiar. My seniors and juniors all laughed, calling me the biggest fool. Even my own master, who doted on me, said I had the intelligence of a pig. I just smiled faintly at their words. I used a drop of my own lifeblood to heal his wounds. And it was then I discovered he was a golden koi. If he could leap the dragon gate, he would transform into a golden dragon. I searched far and wide for mythical ingredients to help him achieve his true form. But on the day of our union ceremony, just after he became a golden dragon, he summoned a tsunami that drowned our entire sect. He threw me into a whirlpool to die, then watched from above with my senior, Jenna, as they pledged their lives to each other. In this new life, I reached up and pulled an azure phoenix from its branch into my arms. The koi, however, grew frantic, leaping out of his filthy ditch. I'm going to be a golden dragon. Why won't you choose me? I closed my eyes, suppressing the rage that burned within me. I ignored the fish, which was already starting to go belly up in the muck, and looked up. High on a branch of a wutong tree sat an azure phoenix. Its feathers were the color of a clear sky, refracting light like gemstones in the sun. It was elegant, noble. He wasn't one of the beasts my master had prepared for us. He had just happened to land on the nearby tree. An azure phoenix's power is immense. In my last life, not even my master had sensed his presence. Only after everyone had chosen their familiars did he lazily spread his wings and soar into the sky. Watching him disappear, all my peers were filled with regret for not noticing him sooner. The next we heard of him was that he was cultivating alone, attempting a fiery rebirth to become a true phoenix. But for some reason, his will wavered during the nirvana, and he perished in the flames. When the news reached our sect, even my master sighed in sorrow that such a powerful spirit beast had died so senselessly. At the time, I felt a pang of pity, but I had no time to dwell on it. I was in a rush, heading to the next secret realm to find a treasure. If I could help a carp from a stinking ditch become a golden dragon, why couldn't I help an azure phoenix be reborn as a true phoenix? If I had that kind of power, I was going to choose the strongest spirit beast there was. I focused my energy, tapped my toes lightly, and leaped onto the wutong branch. I landed beside the azure phoenix and swept him into my arms. Master, I called out. I want to bond with the azure phoenix. Everyone's eyes followed my voice and landed on the bird. A wave of gasps went through the crowd. It's an azure phoenix. There's a spirit beast that powerful here? Wow, she's amazing for spotting him right away. The azure phoenix, nestled in my arms, didn't struggle at all. He simply stared at me with his sapphire eyes, his expression unreadable. Excellent, excellent. My master stroked his beard, beaming with satisfaction. I didn't even notice the azure phoenix's presence. Alara, the fact that you could sense him must mean you two are fated. After you bond, you must not grow lazy. You must train diligently. Seeing my master's kind smile, my eyes started to burn. In my last life, I was the one who dragged the entire sect into ruin. He, too, was swept into the whirlpool. But he never blamed me. Instead, he tried with all his might to push me up, to help me escape. Sadly, the spiritual power of the golden dragon's tsunami was too great. In the end, no one survived. I secretly made a vow. This life, I wouldn't let anyone get hurt. I would protect my sect. Just then, an unwelcome voice broke the silence. Hey, why didn't you pick me? Everyone looked around, trying to find the source of the voice, but saw nothing. Suddenly, a sharp-eyed junior disciple pointed at a mud-caked carp that had just flopped out of a filthy ditch. Is that him talking? He shouted. An uproar followed. That thing from the sewer thinks it's worthy of our junior? He's disgusting. He wants to bond with our precious Alara? Talk about a toad wanting to eat swan meat. We all adore Alara. He's not worthy. The carp flopped weakly on the ground, his dead fish eyes filled with a desperate hope. Hey, pick me. I have the blood of a golden dragon. Once I leap the dragon gate, I'll become one. When I'm a dragon, we'll become life partners and be together forever. My eyes darkened. Did he just say that? Could Kai be reborn too? Well, that's just perfect. After all, if he didn't remember our past, where would be the fun in my revenge? His words sparked a new round of debate. Is he serious? A filthy carp claiming to have dragon's blood? Leaping the dragon gate to become a dragon? Isn't that just a fairy tale? My master strode forward and began examining the carp's bloodline. After a long moment, he looked up at me. He does indeed have the blood of a golden dragon. It's not impossible for him to become a dragon one day. Alara, do you want to reconsider? I was about to refuse when I felt a sharp peck on my ear. I turned to see the Azure Phoenix who had nipped me. He was looking at me with annoyance, a hint of anger in his eyes. You already chose me. You were just holding me. How can you be thinking about someone else? I felt a little helpless. I was just about to say no. He looked so cool and aloof, but he was surprisingly short-tempered. I rejected the offer flatly. Master, I have chosen the Azure Phoenix and I stand by my decision. I will not change my mind. Besides, so what if he has dragon's blood? If he can't even leap the dragon gate, he's just useless. What? How could you say that about me? We're the ones who are meant to be. Kai's voice was frantic. He tried to flop toward me, but he'd been out of the water too long and was severely injured. The stress was too much, and he fainted on the spot. Seeing his pathetic state, I couldn't help but sneer. In our last life, you hated me so much you destroyed our entire sect. Why are you clinging to me this time? What kind of game is this? Shouldn't you be running straight into the arms of your beloved senior, Jenna? As if on cue, my senior, Jenna rushed forward. Ignoring the filth, she scooped him into her arms. Master, he's in such a pitiful state. I am willing to bond with him and help him cultivate. The tiger she had previously chosen let out a low, unhappy growl, but since they hadn't officially bonded, Jenna wasn't breaking any rules. My master hesitated. Jenna, he may have dragon's blood, but with injuries like these, there's no guarantee he can ever become a dragon. Master, Jenna interrupted him. I know you favor Alara and want to give her all the best spirit beasts, but we are all your disciples. Isn't this a little unfair? If she can do it, then as her senior, I can do it too. My master didn't say another word. He just waved his hand, giving his silent approval. I watched her, scoffing inwardly. Fine. This life, I'd like to see how that filthy carp becomes a dragon without my tireless efforts. And with Jenna's lazy, on-again, off-again attitude instead. Back at my quarters, I tried to set the Azure Phoenix down, but he clung tightly to my sleeve. This is a new robe. Are you trying to rip it? I said, exasperated. A flicker of hurt crossed the Azure Phoenix's eyes, and he loosened his claws. That smelly carp. You were interested in him, weren't you? He asked. You picked me, but you were still looking at someone else. You don't really expect him to become a dragon, do you? He's foul. If he became a dragon, it would be a disgrace to their entire race. Seeing his proud, pouty demeanor, I felt a wave of unprecedented calm wash over me. I chose you, but I never asked for your opinion. If you don't want to bond with me, or become my partner in the future, you can leave now. Don't waste my time finding another familiar. At that, he seemed to puff up with indignation and gave my finger another gentle peck. Who else are you planning to find? Since you chose me, you have to keep your promise. Bond with me. I of course am willing to. Then let's sign the soul contract. I drew a drop of my own lifeblood. He in turn forced out a drop of his. Last time, I was too naive. I thought that since I'd saved Kai and helped him cultivate, he would never betray me. So I didn't push for a contract. Of course, it was also because he refused, claiming he was too weak and that giving a drop of lifeblood would kill him. I had feelings for him then, and I figured we would become partners eventually, so we could sign it later. Who would have thought he'd be the one to take my life? This time, I wouldn't let anyone hurt me again. I expected the Azure Phoenix to hesitate. After all, once a soul contract is signed, the two parties share life and death. As long as their souls exist, the contract remains. To my surprise, he didn't hesitate for a second. He forced out a drop of his lifeblood, which merged with mine. The bond was complete. I was still processing what happened. That's it. We're bonded? Suddenly, the Azure Phoenix leaned toward my chest. What are you doing? I gasped, my face turning crimson. He looked at me, puzzled. I'm stopping the bleeding, of course. You don't have to. How could I not? He plucked a light blue feather from his wing and handed it to me. Place this feather on the wound. It will heal quickly. Staring into his blue eyes, my heart skipped a beat. I don't think I know your name. Aeron, he said, his eyes fixed on me. A storm brewed in my heart. What are you two doing so close? Just then my senior, Jenna, staggered in, carrying a large water jar. The voice had come from inside it. It was Kai. Jenna's eyes flashed with jealousy. Alara, you chose the Azure Phoenix. Why are you trying to have it both ways? How dare you try to seduce my spirit beast? From the water jar, Kai, still covered in grime but with hints of golden scales showing through, stared at me with anguish in his dead fish eyes. Alara, why didn't you choose me this time? We loved each other. Can you really bear to leave me? He suddenly grew agitated. How could you sign a soul contract with him? You never signed one with me. I know. You must resent me. It was all a misunderstanding. I can explain. Let's sign a soul contract, okay? I'll find a way to fix this. Even a master-servant contract is fine. Just don't leave me. Aeron looked at him with disdain, flew over, and pecked the water jar hard. It shattered, and Kai flopped helplessly on the ground. Where did this stinking carp come from? The whole room reeks because of him. Get out of here. Don't interrupt me and my partner while we're bonding. Jenna quickly scooped Kai into her arms, furious. Alara, how can you let your familiar attack other beasts so freely? Do you have no respect for me as your senior? I see. Now that you have an Azure Phoenix, you look down on him. But he has the blood of a golden dragon. He'll be a dragon one day. Don't come crying to us then. Kai thrashed in her arms. Jenna whispered something to him, and he fell silent. Though his eyes still burned with resentment and sorrow, he obediently left with her. The room finally fell quiet. I rubbed my temples, memories of my past and present lives swirling in my mind. I hadn't had a moment of peace since my rebirth, and I was exhausted. A soft wing brushed against my cheek, and I felt a sense of comfort. I didn't pull away. Though I didn't know Aeron's intentions, he didn't seem to have any ill will. Kai's attitude was completely different from our past life. Perhaps he was trying to trick me into paving his way again. But I wasn't that naive girl anymore. I had planned to kill him to prevent future trouble. But seeing him like this, I decided to let him live. With Jenna, it would be impossible for him to become a dragon like he did last time. I was curious to see if those two could still be as lovey-dovey as they were in our last life. That night, I tossed and turned in bed, finally drifting into a dream. In it, Kai let out a dragon's roar as a tsunami and a giant whirlpool swept toward me, pulling me into an endless abyss. But the suffocating feeling I remembered never came. I could breathe underwater. Something was wrong. I snapped my eyes open, my nose bumping into a warm chest. It felt solid. My eyes traveled up a swath of jade-like, flawless skin. Wait. When did a man get into my bed? Looking up, I saw a handsome, noble face. Looking down, the man didn't seem to be wearing any clothes. He held me tightly in a protective embrace. My arms were pinned, so I tried to kick him, but he seemed to anticipate it and caught my leg. The man's eyelashes trembled, and he opened his eyes. His gaze was like liquid glass, utterly captivating. It's so early. Why are you making such a fuss? Recognizing his eyes, I let out a breath of relief. Aeron, he hummed in response, pulling me closer against his chest. I'm tired. Let's sleep a little longer. How did you take human form? Kai had dragon's blood, but leaping the dragon gate and taking human form was an incredibly difficult feat that required countless rare treasures. How powerful was Aeron that he could already shapeshift? He kept his eyes closed, his arms wrapped tightly around my waist. He spoke softly, it's more convenient in human form. I can hold you this tightly so you can't get away from me. We're going to be partners anyway. Feeling the warmth of his skin against mine, I flushed with embarrassment and anger. What do you mean, sleep? Get up. It's time to train. He finally loosened his grip. I scrambled away and cleared my throat. You can't go out in front of people like this. I'll go ask my senior for a set of clothes. Why should I wear someone else's clothes? You can give me yours if you don't mind. He snorted coldly. I quickly got up and headed outside. When I asked my senior brother for a set of clothes, he stared at me, his eyes wide with disbelief. Junior sister. You mean you and me? He scratched his head, blushing. I didn't know you felt that way about me. I'm sorry, I've already decided to bond with my own spirit beast. I was speechless and quickly cut him off. Senior, my familiar has taken human form. I only have women's clothes, so I came to borrow a set from you. His expression turned to shock. What? He's already in human form? Even for an Azure Phoenix, I've never heard of it happening so fast. My junior sister is truly something else. Suddenly, a weight settled on my shoulder, and I felt a familiar peck on my ear. The bird had reverted to his original form and followed me. While my senior brother went to get the clothes, Aeron spoke unhappily. Why didn't you just say that from the beginning? If I hadn't been watching you, I sighed. This bird's jealousy was off the charts. As my senior brother handed me the clothes, a small white snake slithered out of his sleeve and tried to coil around my arm. That's my familiar. He's a bit mischievous. He probably just wants to play. But Aeron struck with a fierce peck. I quickly pulled the little snake back. It was terrified, whimpering as it shot back into my senior's sleeve. Aeron, what was that for? That snake was trying to bite you. He was just trying to play with me. Aeron knew he was in the wrong and fell silent. I apologized profusely to my senior brother, then dragged Aeron back to my courtyard. Once he changed, even the simple clothes made him look ethereal and otherworldly. I stared for a moment, then snapped out of it. You wasted my entire morning, I said crossly. Let's go. Time to train. The beast taming sect had a special discipline that required a cultivator and their familiar to practice together. In both lives, I had never practiced it. In my last life, Kai refused to train with me. I had suggested we practice together to deepen his own power, but he had been indignant. I have the blood of a golden dragon. You want me to practice your human techniques? As I watched my peer's power grow day by day, I grew anxious. I begged him to go to a secret realm with me, but he just frowned. You can't even handle these things on your own? How are you worthy of being the partner of a golden dragon? So I went to the secret realms alone. When others asked about Kai, I would force a smile. He's cultivating back at the sect. He has dragon's blood, so he's different from other familiars. Gradually, everyone forgot that I was once the most brilliant and talented junior in the sect. I fought for my life in hidden dimensions, while back at the sect, Kai and my senior sister, Jenna, were inseparable, sweet as honey. New disciples all thought they were the real couple. When I returned to my courtyard, covered in blood and grime with rare treasures in hand, Kai would always look at me with disgust, as if I were some filthy thing. A pang of pain would shoot through my heart, but I would tell myself he was just startled by my appearance, that he wasn't truly repulsed. The whole sect saw how good I was to him. How could he not know? I never imagined his heart was just as black. Now Aeron and I practiced the discipline together. It was far more profound than cultivating alone. I was ravenous for the knowledge, staying up late every night, unwilling to sleep. Aeron would have to forcibly carry me to bed and hold me until I fell asleep. In between our training, Aeron and I went to various dungeons and realms to gain experience. It was only then that I realized how wonderful it was to venture into a secret realm with your familiar. Looking at Aeron's profile, I would often get lost in thought. He was so powerful. Why did he fail his rebirth in our last life? But with me here this time, I would make sure he was reborn as a true phoenix. After that one confrontation, Jenna and Kai never came to bother me again, and I was happy for the peace. But whenever I ran into other disciples, they would always complain to me. Alara, you remember that stinking carp? Jenna is obsessed. She's convinced he'll become a dragon, and is always asking us for potions and magical herbs. She's our senior, so we feel bad saying no. But she has some nerve, taking more than half of what we have. My familiar is injured, and I don't even have herbs for him. Alara, do you really think that carp has dragon's blood? If this keeps up, none of us will be able to take it anymore. It was true. Jenna's own power was low, and she had no ambition. Forcing her to risk her life in a secret realm was out of the question. All she could do was use her senior status to squeeze the junior disciples. But the dungeons they could access were low level. At this rate, It would take hundreds of years for Kai to gain enough power to even attempt the Dragon Gate. Right now, among the sect's disciples, I was the only one who regularly entered high-level secret realms. He would definitely come looking for me. Sure enough, as I was cultivating in my courtyard, Jenna pushed the door open and walked in. She had lost her usual radiant glow, and her face was etched with fatigue, but she forced a smile. "Alara, how have you been?" I nodded. She immediately got to the point. "Alara, I hear you've been going to a lot of secret realms lately. You must have a lot of rare treasures on hand. Since your familiar has already taken human form, all those treasures are probably just going to waste. Why don't you lend them to me for now? Once Kai becomes a dragon, I'll pay you back. You know, Kai will be a golden dragon in the future. He'll be the pride and protector of our entire sect. You don't want us to remain a small, unknown sect forever, do you?" I didn't speak, just stared at her. My gaze made her squirm. She puffed out her chest, trying to look tough. "Am I wrong? So what if your familiar is an azure phoenix? Can he really be reborn as a true phoenix? But Kai is different. He has the blood of a golden dragon. He just needs a little push." I smiled. "Jenna, if he's so amazing, why don't you take him to a secret realm?" "Oh right. It's much easier to get magical potions and herbs by begging, isn't it? Why bother going out and facing any hardship?" Jenna's face turned red with anger. How? How dare you speak to me like that?" She lunged forward to teach me a lesson, but Aeron pecked at her eyes. "Ah!" Jenna shrieked and fell to the ground. Forgetting all her dignity, she scrambled away pathetically. "You just wait. When Kai becomes a dragon, I'll make you pay." I couldn't help but laugh. Seeing Jenna's downfall brought me great satisfaction. Aeron landed gracefully and transformed back into the elegant, noble young man. Suddenly, my master's voice echoed in my mind. "All disciples who have bonded with a spirit beast, gather now. I have watched you all interact with your familiars these past few days, and I am very pleased. A new secret realm has just opened. You will all go with your familiars. It will be a good test of your recent training." "Yes, Master. This happened in my last life, too. But back then, I hadn't bonded with Kai or learned the new discipline, so I had to stay behind. This time, I could finally see it for myself." I glanced at Jenna at the front of the group. Her previous gloom was gone, replaced by a faint look of triumph. What was she so pleased about? Could Kai have taken human form? As the disciples began to leave, I prepared to go as well, but he tugged on my sleeve, his expression displeased. "Did you forget what you promised me?" I was confused. "You really did forget." He was fuming. Seeing that he was about to transform back into his bird form and peck me, a flash of memory hit me. I remembered now. After we returned from the last secret realm, I was dead tired that night, but Aeron was relentless. "When are you going to make it official?" he had demanded. My sleepiness vanished instantly. "What? You mean you never thought about becoming my life partner?" he had asked, narrowing his eyes, a dangerous aura emanating from him. "We'll talk to the master next time," I had said dismissively. Only then was he satisfied, pulling me into his arms to sleep. Remembering this, I took him to our master. "Master, I would like to become life partners with Aeron. I've come to ask for your blessing." My master's eyes crinkled into a smile. "Excellent, excellent. After you return from the secret realm, I will hold a grand ceremony for you both." Aeron quickly pulled me into a bow. "Thank you, Master." On the way back, my head was still spinning. He, on the other hand, was ecstatic, holding my hand tightly as if he were afraid I'd run away. Seeing him like this, I felt a little bit of sweetness in my own heart. That night, I went to bed as usual, but the person beside me was restless. "Are you going to sleep or not? If not, get out," I finally snapped. His voice was tinged with hurt. "We're not even official partners yet, and you're already so fierce with me. Did you get what you wanted and now you don't care anymore?" I opened my eyes. His eyelashes were cast downward, making him look like a kicked puppy. I sighed. "No. It's just that we're leaving for the secret realm tomorrow. It's better to get some sleep. Then you have to make it up to me." He looked up, and his crystalline eyes seemed to shimmer even in the dark. He gently pressed a kiss to my lips. The next day, All the disciples were ready to depart, but Jenna was late. A restless murmur went through the crowd. Is Jenna not coming? I don't think she and her familiar have gotten in sync yet. But she was here yesterday. She should be going. As everyone waited anxiously, Jenna finally arrived, her face glowing. Following behind her was an unexpected person, Kai in human form. He was dressed in a pale gold robe, his features delicate as a painting, but he was so thin he looked as if a gust of wind could knock him over. His steps were slow and deliberate. Right, this was the first time in this life he'd taken human form. He wasn't used to walking yet. The disciples started whispering. Is that the carp? So he really does have dragon's blood? He's already in human form? Maybe he really will become a dragon. Jenna's judgment was sharp after all. Looking at Kai, I remembered what he was like in our last life. Back then, nourished by all the rare treasures I'd gathered, he was carefree and charismatic after taking human form. A stark contrast to the sickly figure before me now. And he thought he could leap the dragon gate like this? He'd probably fall out of the sky before he got halfway. Why are you staring at him? Is he better looking than me? Aeron turned to me, his tone sour. I've never seen you look at me like that. I couldn't help but laugh. Yes, from now on, I'll only look at you. Happy now? Alara. Kai called out joyfully. Were you waiting for me? He stumbled toward me, his face filled with what looked like genuine delight. Jenna's expression instantly soured. He tried to throw himself into my arms, but Aeron wrapped an arm around my waist and pulled me aside. Kai missed and fell to the ground. Alara, how can you be so cruel to me? He cried, looking up with tears glistening in his eyes. A nameless fire ignited inside me. What was this new act? Jenna rushed forward to help him up, her tone sharp. Alara, Kai is with me now. Can you please stop trying to seduce him? But at her words, Kai panicked and shook off her hand. Who's with you? I'm going to be Alara's partner. I regret it, Alara. I was wrong. It was only after I left you that I realized how good you were to me. I know I broke your heart, but nothing has happened yet in this life. Can we start over? Please. I'll treat you right. I'll cherish you. I'll be with you and only you for all eternity. Can you just give me one more chance? Let me stay by your side. He looked at me with hopeful eyes, expecting me to soften. Is someone daydreaming in broad daylight? Aeron sneered. The Alara you're talking about wouldn't happen to be my partner, would she? Well, that's too bad. She's already mine. Doesn't anyone have their own partner? Why are you always lusting after someone else's? He took my hand and led me away, leaving Kai kneeling on the ground, utterly dejected. Jenna clenched her fists, a dark light flickering in her eyes. Inside the secret realm, the dense trees blotted out the sun. It was daytime, but it felt like night. Strangely, we encountered very few monsters on our way in. The ones we did see were weak and posed no threat. This was highly unusual. Every other secret realm I'd been to was teeming with beasts. This place was unexplored. Why was it so empty? Gradually, our group moved toward the center of the realm. By now, it was pitch black, and we had to use light stones to see. Suddenly, a cold, oppressive wind rushed toward us. Get back! I yelled. My fellow disciples scattered. Aeron grabbed me and flew up onto a nearby tree. A pair of red lights flashed in the woods. They were eyes. I threw a light stone forward, and we finally saw what was in front of us. It was a tiger. But a normal tiger was only a few meters long. This one was the size of a mountain. I had never seen anything like it. Its eyes were blood red, its teeth sharp as daggers, and drool dripped from the corners of its mouth. It had clearly lost its mind and fallen to demonic influence. No wonder the outer parts of the realm were empty. It must have eaten everything to increase its own power. Aeron frowned. Doesn't that tiger look familiar? He murmured. My mind flashed back to the day we chose our familiars, to the tiger Jenna had abandoned. It was the same one, but its size had grown exponentially, so I hadn't recognized it at first. The beast that was originally sealed in this realm wasn't him. In his current state, he must have devoured the original sealed beast. This was going to be trouble. The tiger, seeing that it had missed us, threw its head back and roared. The sound was so powerful that the less experienced disciples' ears started to bleed. Get back to the sect and tell the master. I shouted to the others. They all began to retreat. I was about to cover them with Aeron and leave as well. Alara. A voice like a ghost's whispered through the dark forest. Do you really think you can escape? Jenna appeared beside the tiger. The beast, which had been in a mindless rage, was now completely docile. Jenna, what are you doing? Are you trying to kill your own peers? Her eyes were filled with hatred and madness. Kill my peers? Did you ever treat me like a peer? I was the senior, but everyone doted on you. They praised your talent, but no one ever saw my efforts. Why? Why did you get to bond with an azure phoenix? Why did Kai, with his golden dragon blood, chase after you like a puppy? I was the one who humbled myself, begging the juniors for potions and herbs for him. But his eyes were only for you. Well, it all ends today. This is the graveyard I've chosen for you. She patted the tiger's side, her eyes venomous. Kill them. I understood everything then. This was all a trap set by Jenna. After she abandoned the tiger, no one else chose him, and he vanished that night. It turned out she had been in contact with him secretly all along. She had cried to him, telling him how she was ostracized at the sect, how she was unappreciated by the master and disrespected by the other disciples, and how I, the junior sister, was the worst of all, always turning everyone against her. She claimed that was why she had been forced to choose the carp, hoping he would one day become a dragon and bring her glory. But even the carp was seduced away by me. Now the tiger was all she had left to rely on. The tiger, who had been infatuated with her from the start and was simple-minded, immediately swore to protect her for life. Jenna wanted him to grow strong quickly, and the fastest way was to devour other spirit beasts. But most familiars weren't very powerful, so he started eating monsters in the wild. He discovered his power grew immensely, and from then on, there was no stopping him. A few days ago, Jenna found out the master was sending us to this secret realm, and found a way to get the tiger inside, all to wipe us out in one fell swoop. The tiger, now a demon, had eaten most of the monsters in the realm. Then, while the beast guarding the realm was dormant, he devoured him too. His power had increased several levels, making him a formidable foe. But he still had a sliver of reason left, enough to remember his promise to Jenna. The tiger's eyes locked onto us, and it charged. The ground shook. Aeron transformed into his true form, his blue wings shimmering even in the darkness. He threw me onto his back and soared into the air. The tiger let out a furious roar, and the surrounding trees swayed violently. Suddenly, it opened its massive jaws and bit its own front paw. Blood gushed out, black and toxic. With a powerful flick, it flung the black blood everywhere. Aeron couldn't dodge in time, and was splattered with a few drops. His flesh sizzled and corroded on contact. I felt Aeron's body tremble. Are you okay? I asked. His voice was hoarse. I'm fine. The tiger, seeing its attack was effective, let out an excited roar and flung more black blood. It had fallen to demonic influence and couldn't feel pain. It was fighting with complete abandon. We couldn't outlast it like this. Aeron put me down in that clearing. It's too dangerous, he protested. We can't win a battle of attrition like this. From the moment the fight started, I had sensed multiple demonic energies colliding within the tiger's body. Once those forces reached their peak, its body would explode from the pressure. When that happened, the entire secret realm might be destroyed, and we would die with it. I had to deal with it before then. Aeron couldn't argue with me. He landed in the clearing and, in a flash of light, transformed back into his human form. All right then. We do this together. I nodded at him, drawing the two long swords I carried. They were forged from mystic iron, a reward from our last adventure. I tossed one to him. Perfect, one for each of us. The tiger, seeing us on the ground, panted excitedly and charged, shaking the very earth. I gave Aeron a look, and he understood instantly. We flanked it, aiming straight for its spine. Splattering blood hit my clothes, burning holes through the fabric, but I didn't have time to care. I focused on recalling the discipline, channeling all my power into one strike. 2 flashes of sword light. The tiger spun around, roaring, trying to swallow me whole. But then its movements froze. It let out one final, long howl and collapsed silent. Aeron and I were a mess, but we looked at each other and smiled. Just then, A pained cry for help came from a crack in the earth. Help me. It was Kai. His body was too weak, so he hadn't been able to escape with the other disciples. Instead, he'd fallen into a fissure, and was now on the verge of death. Alara, you still have potions, right? If you save me now, when I leap the dragon gate and become a golden dragon, I'll make you my partner. I'll make you the happiest person in the world. I've already taken human form. Once I get out of here, I can become a dragon. Help me. Seeing his pathetic, wretched state, I laughed out loud. The painful memories of my last life finally faded away. I knew I was truly over it. Aeron scoffed. How many times do I have to say it? This life, she's my partner. What does it have to do with you? A thought struck me, and I was about to ask him what he meant by that when I heard Kai's blood-curdling scream. You bitch. How dare you? I'm a golden dragon. It was Jenna. Her eyes were bloodshot. She had used her own ceremonial dagger to stab him through the chest. Help me, he begged. But I just watched, my eyes cold, without a hint of warmth. His gaze slowly faded, and he went still. Jenna's mind had clearly snapped. She pulled the dagger out. Useless. All of you are useless. I have to do it myself. She lunged at me. In a blur, Aeron swept me up and into the air again, leaving Jenna raging impotently on the ground below. We need to leave now. I have a bad feeling about that tiger. Just as we reached the exit of the secret realm, a massive explosion erupted from its center. The tiger exploded after all, Aeron said. Back at the sect, we ran into our master, who was rushing out. I quickly stopped him. Master, you don't need to go. He checked me over and saw that I only had minor cuts and bruises. He breathed a sigh of relief. As long as you're okay, go back and rest. I hesitated for a moment, but then I told him everything about Jenna. The master was silent for a long time and said nothing more. Lying in bed, I closed my eyes, listening to the steady breathing of the person beside me. Why did you fail your rebirth in the last life? I asked out of the blue. The breathing next to me stopped for a second. After a long while, just as I was about to fall asleep, he spoke in a muffled voice. I always thought cultivation was a solitary path. When it was time to bond with a familiar, I watched all of you and thought it was ridiculous. Being free is so much better. Why would you want to be tied to a human? But then one person, out of the goodness of her heart, chose a dead fish from a filthy ditch. I thought she was so stupid. But later, I kept seeing her, running around everywhere for that stupid fish, going in and out of every trial. I don't know when, but my heart filled with jealousy. Jealousy for that fish. Why did he get her unconditional love? I was clearly so much better than him. What if I had been the one standing by her side? I started to regret it. Why didn't I fight to bond with her? During my nirvana, the raging fire wasn't what pained me. It was the burning agony of regret that cut me to the core. I wished I could have another chance. I swore I would hold on to her tightly and never let her look at anyone else. By the time he finished, tears were streaming down my face. So my second chance, he had traded his own rebirth for it. Thank goodness, everything was set right. This life, we would both find happiness. A soft kiss landed on the corner of my eye, wiping away a tear. I heard Aeron let out a deep sigh. Why are you crying? It breaks my heart. A few days later, it was time for our union ceremony. Aeron was pushed toward me by a crowd of his senior and junior brothers. He was dressed in a magnificent red robe that made his skin look even fairer. When he looked at me, his crystalline eyes held a universe of stars. The master beamed, his eyes crinkled with joy. Aeron, are you willing to take Alara as your life partner? To never abandon her? And to cherish her for all of this life? I am, he said, unable to wait. I, Aeron, am willing to take Alara as my partner, to never abandon her, and to cherish her for all of this life. If I break this vow, may my soul be scattered and may I never enter the cycle of reincarnation again. A gasp went through the crowd of disciples. That vow was incredibly heavy. He was cutting off all his own retreats. He looked at me, his eyes filled with a deep, abiding love. I, Alara, am willing to take Aeron as my partner, to never abandon him, and to cherish him for all of this life. If I break this vow, may my soul be scattered and may I never enter the cycle of reincarnation again. We looked at each other and smiled. We had both waited for this moment for so long. Suddenly, small flames erupted from Aeron's body. I panicked. What's happening? Aeron gave me a reassuring smile. Don't be afraid, he said softly. It's just time for my nirvana. Why now? He transformed into his azure phoenix form and flew into the air. The flames quickly engulfed his body, a single spark becoming a raging inferno. The crowd held its breath, afraid to disturb his rebirth. I watched the ball of fire, my heart praying, Aeron, you have to succeed. The fire grew more and more intense. The azure phoenix's form disappeared within the flames, only to slowly reform into the shape of a true phoenix. With a long, clear cry, the ball of fire moved, transforming into a magnificent fire phoenix, its wings trailing flames, shimmering with golden light. Aeron's rebirth was a success. He circled the sect twice before landing and transforming back into his human form. He pulled me into his arms. This life, I will be with you always. We will never be apart again. The crowd erupted in cheers and blessings. My own eyes grew misty. I hugged him back tightly. Yes, we'll never be apart again. And